Apart from social media ban, Koshi minister's vehicle knocking down a teen-fueled anger against Oli government. The video has triggered massive outrage on social media, particularly in Nepal. A day after regime change in Nepal, the centre has focused on getting back Indian nationals stranded in Nepal. Bengal, Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh CMs have directed the top state-level officials to ensure coordination with the centre, even as Kathmandu's Tribhuvan airport reopens for civilian flights. Over 200 people have been arrested following the massive protests against French President Macron's leadership and austerity drive as the country gets its fifth Prime Minister in less than 2 years. Sunay Kapoor's sister Mandira Kapoor speaks, in fact that is Sanjay Kapoor's sister Mandira Kapoor speaking exclusively to CNN News 18 amid the escalating battle for his 30,000 crore inheritance. Denies Priya Kapoor's claims, says it is shocking to see the way Karishma Kapoor's children were cut off. Days after the Mandya clashes, Ganesh idol immersion procession begins. BJP and JDS have led the procession as Congress accuses them of disrupting communal harmony. India faces UAE today in a high-stakes Asia Cup clash in Dubai. India's Chief Economic Advisor V. Anantha Nageshwara denies any plans by the government to participate in any initiative which aims to create a dollar alternative. CEA says despite geopolitical headwinds, Indian economy remains resilient. This chaos, which is continuing to engulf the Himalayan nation of Nepal after the exit of Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli in the wake of the student protests over the social media ban. Hours after the ban on social media apps on September 6, an official jeep carrying the Koshi province minister Ram Bahadur Magar hit 11-year-old Usha Magar Sunawar outside a school in Lalitpur as the CCTV footage shows her flung onto the roadside as the vehicle drove away while the minor survived the crash. The incident has triggered much anger across the entire country, and it is believed to have been one of the flashpoints that led to the fall of KP Sharma Oli. In fact, let's also take you through how this has shaped up. In fact, it was last week when around September 6th, this little 11-year-old girl was attempting to cross when the finance and planning minister of this entire province, which is in fact close to Kathmandu, was driving on in that car. And in fact, he's continued to drive on. As you can see, the car went and hit this 11-year-old girl who was attempting to cross the road without even paying heed to what happened to the girl. It's a minor incident is in fact what he went on to say, and that particular footage went viral on social media and in fact across social media platforms, whether Instagram or even Facebook. And that is what led to, in fact, people lapping up that content. That is also one prime reason why there's so much anger brewing within the so-called Gen Z protesters against the political elite. It is not just the KP Sharma Oli dispensation. And this is, in fact, if you can see, we've actually brought out that entire reconstruction of how it all went viral among these Gen Z protesters who can be seen lapping up this entire viral video. There was a lot of anger and resentment against this particular minister and of course subsequently the KP Sharma Oli government as well, because they were expecting at least an apology from the minister. None of that happened, and this particular video then went viral, and understandably so. One can in fact relate to why there has been so much public anger and fury against what they call is not just a clampdown on freedom of speech and expression. Perhaps that was a trigger as far as a ban on the 26 social media platforms is concerned, but the fury is wider than that. That is against the political elite. They believe that the corruption has led to the sinking of Nepalese economy. In fact, Siddharth Mishra has been tracking that story for us, and he's joining me live on the broadcast from Nepal. Siddharth, if you could give us a sense of what is it that the protesters are now demanding, and what all has fed this kind of anger that we have seen sort of shape up these protests in the last 2 days?
Well, there are many reasons to this protest, Akanksha, and in fact, as you rightly said, that this video of a girl being hit by a minister's car, and then a driver was only arrested for a brief time, and then later he was set free by the authorities, and Prime Minister Oli calling it a minor incident. Also, very important, Akanksha, here to highlight that what the youngsters in Nepal were looking for opportunities, employment, basic facilities, etc., etc. And when they used to see that how these children of politicians, rich politicians, travel abroad, flex their lavish lifestyle on social media platforms, perhaps that has really impacted the people from the young generation, from middle class, lower middle class, because on one end they are not getting what they deserve, in terms of employment, facilities, cost of living is rising, etc., etc. But on the other end, the rich and mighty are living good lifestyle. So that was something which they were understanding, that because of the corruption, favoritism, nepotism in the system, perhaps the common man is not getting anything. So this was in the making. This was brewing up from a very long time. It did take different shapes, Akanksha, in last 6 months. In February, we saw it in the form of pro-monarchy campaign. Then in April, there was this protest against the electricity board in Kathmandu. Then so it was happening in small forms at various places. But this particular protest got triggered. It started after because of the social media ban, B, exactly what you were pointing out, this video which went viral of a girl, and perhaps Gen Z decided, the young generation decided to hit the roads and to bring down the government. And you see, Akanksha, the hatred they have for the politicians, not just those who are in power, but even those who are in opposition were also thrown out of their houses, and they were also beaten up. So that was the level of hatred. We don't support violence, but that is that the anger has got reflected on the streets of
All
Kathmandu.
right. Many thanks to you, Siddhant, for bringing us all those latest details on that news story. With that, let me quickly bring in our guest today. I'm joined in by Hardik Subedi, who's a lawyer and protester. He's joining me live from Kathmandu. In fact, Hardik, thank you for joining in. To begin with, as we were showing that this entire video, which is also running on the screens, which shows that hit and run accident with no apology coming in from the minister. Of course, that's also one of the reasons, this kind of high-handedness coming in from the political elite, which has fed into the protests. But what is it that has in fact led to this kind of public anger?
Thank you, Akanksha. Thank you for bringing me in. So the video that is being shown right now is just a symbol of impunity with which things were operating. And the reason why there was so much impunity was that there were no institutions that were robust enough to make people accountable. So that had made almost everyone in the country frustrated, and more so, that frustration was more so among the younger generation. And that culminated into what we saw the day before and yesterday. That's the...
All right. So, Hardik, it's interesting that you are highlighting accountability of the government, but critics of your protests are questioning that if you are in favor of democracy, what we have seen happen on the streets of Kathmandu in the last 2 days, how can anyone who is a proponent of democracy justify this kind of arson, vandalism, looting, even the death of a wife of a former prime minister?
So I think that's just a reflection. Well, I'm not supporting violence, and I think the vandalism was to do more with the vigilante groups that infiltrated the peaceful protest, because it started as a peaceful protest. But what this also indicates is that there was the institutions were so weak that no actions could be taken. The security forces couldn't respond in time. There was absolute absence of state in no time. It took just 27 hours for the state to crumble. So that speaks volumes as to what kind of democracy we had and what kind of systems we were harboring and what kind of institutions were being sustained in this country.
Today
So
also we saw a near about sort of face-off between the army. The army, of course, was being very cautious and guarded. The protesters took to the Delhi Bazaar in Kathmandu. What is it that the protesters are demanding? If you could just shed light on your key demands.
So I can't speak for the protesters. I'm part of the Gen Z, so that's a limitation I have. I can't speak for all protesters, but the demands
Sure,
are
the
basic.
demands of
That
the Gen Z protesters.
Yes, so the demands of the Gen Z protesters is uh, again are very basic. That they want a corruption-free system, they want accountability, and that again rotates back to what the videos that you showed. And although it looks very basic, and the international media mischaracterized it as a social media ban protest, but it also speaks volume as to how, at the stroke of a pen, without any legal basis, your freedom of expressions could be taken away. That the government was not really yours. So, and if you see the demography of Nepal, it's there's massive youth population, and they couldn't see the representation in the government, and the government was completely insulated from public
Okay.
sentiments and was operating without any accountability, with pure impunity, by capturing all institutions that could make democracy functional.
When you're saying that they were operating with complete impunity, I want to also quickly bring you in on what exactly was the involvement of these protesters. Are you also suggesting that there were protesters?
To chaos, that becomes a very ripe ground for vigilantes and other groups to fulfill their interests. And as we saw from the videos, that the people outside of the protesters actually infiltrated it. And I don't think it was the original idea to burn down the main executive building and the Supreme Court and every other physical infrastructure that makes state functional. That was
Hardik,
never the
stay
idea.
with me. In fact, I can see that Preeti Chaudhary, who is a tourist in a hotel in Kathmandu, is also joining in. Preeti, if you could share your experience so far, what is the situation on ground level? There are several tourists who have shared their plights in the media with regards to how they have been treated in the last couple of days. Many of them have, in fact, even been attacked.
Hi, I first of all, I'm not a tourist. Just want to clarify.
All right,
I
my
came here to
apologies.
do some work, and I found that the situation just flared up. I had already heard that there's WhatsApp will not work in Nepal, etc. But by Tuesday morning, I pretty much knew I had to take the flight back. And when I tried to do that, it went really smoothly until we got to our boarding gate because we had our boarding pass, we had checked in our luggage, everything was good until we saw that the ATC suddenly didn't allow the planes to land. Air India was circling, so was Indigo. And much to our despair, they had to return home. I totally understand because the airspace was, there were plumes of smoke, and I think the kids were disturbing with laser lights and all that at the space, so I don't think the pilots could have landed anyway. And so much to our despair, we were left at the airport, and 24 hours later we pretty much remained there because
Okay.
all of the staff left, and we were a lot of people left there, 4 plane loads of people,
So, Preeti,
passengers.
for the benefit of all our viewers, if you could shed more light on what is the current plight of all these travelers who are looking towards a safe passage. The Ministry of External Affairs is very closely monitoring the situation. In fact, what we are also being told is that the flights have also resumed. Is that true?
Yes, so that just happened. The situation is so, I mean, changes like by the minute, literally, because I've just been trying to help the Indian press by giving whatever live, observations that I
Okay.
can over here. And literally, I think I gave an interview just about half an hour ago to say that, we have been told that the airspace is not going to open up, the airport is not going to open up, but we are very excited to find that within half an hour the it's we've heard that the we haven't heard that we can go because we do understand that Air India and Indigo both have said that they will not fly any flights to Kathmandu for 2 days, I think. So that includes tomorrow. So I don't see how we are getting out. However, it is much better. And I just want to say a quick word about the fact that we had a rescue operation by the Indian Embassy
Right.
this morning in Nepal, which was just great because after there was a time last night when I thought that maybe we won't get out because there was nobody there except for all of us passengers and a few guards who were as helpless as us.
So Preeti, in
actually.
fact, we are getting a
Yeah.
lot of queries from all the Indian tourists who are currently stranded in Kathmandu particularly. If you could just share a word with all of them and send out a message, what can they do right now to find a safe passage back to India?
Well, the Indian embassy took care of us, so I don't. I think they have to contact, and we
So
contacted.
those
our
emergency numbers you're saying, they are fairly active at the moment, and the embassy is also reaching out through those emergency contacts that have been shared?
I can't say that the emergency contacts were working. We literally all had to know somebody who knew somebody who could contact the embassy, and a lot of us did that. So they dispatched an army officer this morning at 9, and by 12 o'clock, there were small groups that were put into vans and
Okay.
taken to like small Oyo kind of hotels. They said they are safer than going to a normal hotel, and so about 200 passengers, all Indian citizens, have been taken out
All right.
in a rescue operation. We were very grateful for it, really.
Thank you, Preeti. I do hope that you return safely to your country, and thank you for sharing your inputs in such a tumultuous time with us here at CNN News 18. Thank you, Hardik, for joining in. I do hope that peace and prosperity return to Nepal. With that shifting focus over to the ground reports as the protests in Nepal, fueled by anger over corruption and economic stagnation, have in fact spread chaos across Kathmandu. And CNN News 18 has been reporting live from ground zero, bringing you exclusive coverage of this dramatic political shift.
पूरा काठमांडू इस वक्त आरबी के हवाले है और न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया की टीम पर भी हमला हुआ। हमारा आई कार्ड छीन लिया गया, लेकिन उसके बाद अब हम मोबाइल से ये कवरेज आपको दिखा रहे हैं। हमारा कैमरा अभी काम नहीं कर रहा है। इस वक्त हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट पर हैं और ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट की तस्वीरें हैं, आप देख सकते हैं। सुप्रीम कोर्ट में यहाँ पर देख सकते हैं कि पूरा सुप्रीम कोर्ट है जो इस पर यहाँ पे प्रदर्शनकारी पहुँच गए थे और यहाँ पर पूरा सुप्रीम कोर्ट को आग के हवाले कर दिया गया। यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हैं यहाँ पे सैकड़ों बाइकें थी जो पूरी तरह से जल चुकी हैं। ये देखिए, ये बाइकें जो है वो जली हुई आपको यहाँ पे नज़र आ रही हैं। ये पूरा देखिए, यहाँ पर पूरा धुएं का गुबार आपको नज़र आ रहा है। ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट है नेपाल का जो पूरी तरह से जल गया है। जिस तरह से लोग काफ़ी नाराज़ थे यहाँ की सरकार से और उन्होंने सुप्रीम कोर्ट को भी निशाना बनाया। देखिए यहाँ पर अभी दमकल विभाग की टीमें पहुँची हुई हैं। जितनी भी गाड़ियाँ थी उन सबको आग के हवाले कर दिया गया है। और देखिए ये पूरा सुप्रीम कोर्ट का प्रीमाइसेस है और ये देखिए पूरे शीशे तोड़ दिए गए हैं। ऊपर सर्वोच्च न्यायालय लिखा हुआ है। देखिए आप देख सकते हैं सर्वोच्च न्यायालय सुप्रीम कोर्ट। तो देखिए ये यहाँ पर नेपाल के पुलिस के जवान भी यहाँ पर मौजूद हैं। यहाँ पर देखिए फायर ब्रिगेड की गाड़ियाँ, देखिए कितनी गाड़ियाँ जो है यहाँ पर, लोग भी जो है यहाँ के सरकारी लोग जो है वो यहाँ पर मदद आगे कर रहे हैं। और देखिए ये पूरा सुप्रीम कोर्ट में जितनी बाइक थे, वाहन थे, इन सबको जो है वो आपके हवाले कर दिया गया है।
Also, CNN News 18, Siddhant Mishra spoke to the spokesperson of the Nepalese army, Rajaram Basnet, who has now said that the situation has been brought under control and the army is ensuring that no new incidents of violence take place. Listen in.
Sir, what is the situation on ground right now?
Right now, the situation is under control.
Okay.
The Nepali army and the other security agencies, they are deployed in the field physically to provide security to the people.
Okay.
And also the infrastructure, we are providing security to the infrastructure as well.
Okay. Okay.
And in the meantime, we have already confiscated some weapons which were looted by the, by the rights. And the overall situation is now under control.
Okay, sir. Has there been any more incidents of violence in Kathmandu and nearby areas since morning?
Till now, there is no any new development regarding the violence.
Okay.
Okay.
And have the protesters been arrested?
Yes, we have arrested not protesters. We have arrested. Hello.
Yeah. I can hear you.
Hello.
I can hear you, sir. I can hear you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So have
Yes, sir.
have there been any arrest made? Has there been any arrest made so far?
Right now, the situation is under control.
Okay.
The Nepali army and the other security agencies, they are deployed in the field physically to provide security to the people.
Okay. Sir, has there been any arrests made? Okay.
We are providing security to the infrastructure as well.
Okay. Sir, has there been any arrest made?
And in the meantime, we have already confiscated some weapons which were looted by the,
We're getting in breaking inputs. In fact, what we are learning is that in a virtual meeting lasting nearly 4 hours, members of the Gen Z movement have decided to accept former Chief Justice Sushila Khadki as the interim leader to represent them in the upcoming discussions. Big development over there happening in Nepal. As we all know that the Gen Z protesters were conducting a virtual meet. Several hundreds of them, in fact, were attending that meeting. And in the latest, what we are learning is that Chief Justice Sushila Khadki has been appointed as the interim head as of now, who will be representing them in the upcoming discussions, because remember, there has been a void which was being felt in terms of the lack of an interlocutor. This as KP Sharma Oli resigned after yesterday. Let's quickly go across to Siddhant, who continues to report from Nepal and bring us those breaking inputs. Yes, Siddhant.
Well, that's right. So, in a virtual meeting which lasted nearly 4 hours, now the Gen Z movement have decided to accept former Chief Justice Sushila Khadki as the interim leader to represent them in the upcoming discussions. In fact, the group also has to say that no youth affiliated with political parties should participate in leadership talks. Civic activist Khadki, who currently remains unaffiliated with any political party, was selected to ensure neutrality in negotiations. The Gen Z members also noted that there is currently no other capable individual suitable to assume this role. The group underlined that the leadership and agenda must be universally accepted among members. Previously, Army Chief General Ashok Raj Sigdal had suggested that Gen Z representative hold talks with the Rashtriya Swatantra Party in Durga Parsai, which the group declined. Now, this new name has emerged, perhaps, who will be taking forward the talks. Now, as far as the background of Sushila Khadki is concerned, she became the 25th Chief Justice and notably the first female to hold that office. She served from 2016 to 2017. Following her appointment on the recommendation of the Constitutional Council headed by KP Oli, the former Prime Minister, began her legal career in 1979, and holds she is one of the credible faces in Nepal at this point in time, where country is going through its worst political crisis. So perhaps her name has been suggested by the Gen Z group in the Zoom meeting.
It's interesting that you highlight that the demand coming in from the Gen Z supporters was that there should be a person who is not politically affiliated be chosen. And here you have Chief Justice Sushila Khadki, who's in fact also been a civic activist. What does that speak of the demands now of the Gen Z protesters that are being put forward?
Well, Akanksha, as we were discussing before, that they will never be accepting any politician or person affiliated to any traditional political party in Nepal. Perhaps this entire movement was not just against the Oli government, but also against those who are in the opposition and have been enjoying power from a long time. So the best choice at this point in time could have been somebody who is neutral, not affiliated to any political party, and also respected by all, accepted by all. and perhaps this name has come up, and she will now be taking forward the talks.
Okay.
Also, Kanksha, very important to highlight that Nepal has to be there's going to be the rebuilding of Nepal, both politically and in terms of also the damage which has been caused by the rioters. So there's a lot of work which is required to be done to bring back peace, normalcy, and a sense in the society. So.
All right, we seem to have lost Siddhant's audio over there. But getting in breaking inputs shared by Securities Editor Mr. Manoj Gupta, intel sources are revealing to CNN News 18 that India is watching the Nepal situation carefully and very closely. Priority is to control the law and order spillover. Intel sources have also revealed that the main objective is to ensure unrest should not spread across the open border. That is the prime concern for New Delhi at the moment. The risk of unrest moving towards Indian border states is extremely high. Intel has also cited that several Nepali Gorkhas are serving in the Indian army. That is the kind of strategic support that India has been receiving from Nepal. That is, in fact, almost historic. Let me quickly take that forward with Anand Narasimhan, who joins me live from the newsroom. Anand, if you could shed more light on how the border area particularly remain a crucial point of concern for India.
Well, good evening, Akanksha, and to our viewers. There are nearly 2 crore Bharatiya whose lives could be affected because Nepal shares its borders with states like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Uttarakhand and also Sikkim. And then there are those important border crossings like Birganj, Raxaul. There is also the Bahrej, Nepalganj. The Nepalganj area saw a lot of unrest and we've been reporting that on ground. These are areas which, and of course the Kakarbhitta to Siliguri. So that's the Sikkim part. Now, these are areas which will see a huge amount of traffic, and the last time around in 2015, one witnessed that there was a lot of pushing of contraband, counterfeit currency, and also there was profiteering or black marketing of petrol or oil. So these are things which the authorities and the agencies are going to be very, very careful of. The other part is that the safety of Bharatiya is paramount. Bharat is not involved and is not going to get interfere in whatever is happening in Nepal, especially when there is youth and there is a spectrum of people who are actually backing this entire regime change call within Nepal. But what Bharat would like is stability and a consensus in terms of the future leadership of Nepal. And of course, if they are going to be equanimous and not leaning overtly towards China, then that would only benefit the roti beti ka rishta that Nepal and Bharat have always had. So this roti beti ka rishta is something which Bharat understands, respects, and also would like it to continue. The contribution of Gorkhas, contribution of Nepali to Bharatiya armed forces and also the entire Bharatiya economic system and social system is something which we don't need to speak about. Nepal has always been as good as just a little bit of an extension of Bharat, an independent, autonomous extension, but a very proud one where there is a shared history, shared culture and shared Sanatan roots because Pashupatinath, Muktinath and also to Kailash Mansarovar, it all happens for all pilgrims across Bharat. They do go towards Nepal and to Kathmandu. So these relations are something which the Bharatiya authorities are very clear, they are aware, and that's why they would also want any kind of unnecessary, unwanted hostility towards Indian citizens in Nepal to be avoided.
Anand, there was much strategic ambiguity that had crept into the bilateral relationship between India and Nepal, especially after KP Sharma Oli arrived. So there's a renewed, fresh hope that whoever takes over will perhaps give a reset to these bilateral ties. Because remember, Oli was also viewed as a pro-China person. So how much now rests upon the next government?
But Nepal at this point stands at a crossroads. Either they hurtle towards anarchy or towards a very progressive, growth-oriented and overall stable leadership which flourishes under perhaps the democratic values that Nepal would want to eschew. Whether or not and how the course, what course they choose, what identity, what kind of persona Nepal as a nation chooses with the Gen Z leading it from the front, it's up to them. But Bharat would hope that it would always be mindful and perhaps respectful of the shared cultural heritage, the shared history, shared geography, and of course shared economic interaction and linkage, social linkage that both Bharat and Nepal have more than any of the other nations in the neighborhood. And I think that is something which the authorities are very, very clear. Right. And they would like somebody who's steady, stable and acceptable between the old and new, however it is, but progressive in nature.
Absolutely. A government which is perhaps equally respectful about the strategic and territorial autonomy of India as well. Many thanks to you, Anand, for joining in on that news story. Also, News 18's Anand Tiwari is reporting from inside the Nepal Parliament. The visuals, in fact, go on to show the massive destruction that has taken place. Let's play out that story for you.
हम आपको एक वीआईपी जोन दिखा रहे हैं जहां से प्रधानमंत्री जब संसद भवन में एंट्री करते हैं तो वो इसी जगह से होते हुए अंदर एंट्री करते हैं। ये देखिए, ये पूरी तरह से तबाह हो चुका है। ये न्यूज 18 इंडिया एक्सक्लूसिव तस्वीरें आपको दिखा रहा है नेटवर्क 18 ग्रुप की। देखिए, ये वीआईपी इलाका है। यहाँ पे तमाम वीआईपीज जो हैं वो यहाँ पर मौजूद होते थे जब पार्लियामेंट का सेशन चलता था, महत्वपूर्ण कैबिनेट की मीटिंग होती थी। और देखिए यहाँ पर देखिए, ये अगर देखेंगे आप तो पूरा प्रीमाइसेस जो है वो तहस नहस हो गया है। यहाँ पर केवल लोहा और जो जाले जंगले हैं वो नजर आ रहे हैं। हर तरफ जो मलबा है वो यहाँ पे नजर आ रहा है। बहुत ज्यादा हीट जो है हमें यहाँ पर महसूस हो रही है क्योंकि आगजनी हुई थी। और आप सोचिए मंजर यहाँ पे क्या रहा होगा। देखिए, ये वीआईपी गेट है, ये वीआईपी गेट है। यहाँ पर हम देख सकते हैं, ये देखिए, ये मेरे कैमरा में दिखा रहे हैं, ये वीआईपी गेट है। प्रधानमंत्री इसी गेट से यहाँ पर अंदर एंट्री करते थे और ये पूरा प्रीमाइसेस जो है ये पार्लियामेंट के अंदर का है। देखिए, ये यहाँ पर ये पार्लियामेंट का सारा वीआईपी मूवमेंट जो है वो यहीं पर होता था। ये एक गेट जो आप बाजू में यहाँ पर देख रहे हैं, ये देखिए यहाँ पर कि आपको कुछ जर्नलिस्ट यहाँ पे नजर आ रहे हैं। ये जो गेट है इससे बाकी सांसद वगैरह एंट्री करते थे। जो जानकारी यहाँ से मिल रही है कि जो हम जहाँ पे खड़े हुए हैं वो वीआईपी गेट था। ये गेट एक और है, हम यहाँ से बाहर निकलते हैं। ये देखिए, इससे ये वीआईपी गेट हैं दोनों, जहाँ से कि वीआईपी मूवमेंट होती है। मेरे कैमरामैन युगल से बोलूँगा थोड़ा सावधानी से, यहाँ पे अंधेरा है, यहाँ से बाहर आएँ। तो देखिए, ये अंदर की तस्वीरें हम आपको अभी दिखा रहे थे, पार्लियामेंट के अंदर की जो वीआईपी गेट है, जहाँ से कि प्रधानमंत्री जब आते हैं तो वो इन्हीं दोनों गेट से, ये वीआईपी गेट, देखिए एक गेट ये और एक गेट ये जिससे अभी हमने एंट्री करी। ये न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया पे एक्सक्लूसिव तस्वीरें आप देख सकते हैं। देखिए, यहाँ पर जो फायर फाइटिंग के इक्विपमेंट थे वो भी यहाँ पर जल गए। ये देखिए, फायर फाइटिंग के इक्विपमेंट यहाँ पे लगे हुए थे ताकि आग को बुझाया जाए, लेकिन हालात ऐसे थे कि फायर फाइटिंग के जो इक्विपमेंट थे वो भी काम नहीं कर पाए यहाँ पर, क्योंकि मंजर बहुत भयावह रहा होगा। आप देखिए, ये प्रधानमंत्री इसी गेट से अंदर जाते हैं और ये एक्सक्लूसिव तस्वीरें हम न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया पे दिखा रहे हैं सीधे काठमांडू संसद भवन के अंदर से। कैमरा पर्सन युगल ठाकुर के साथ आनंद तिवारी, न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया, काठमांडू।
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
There's a stunning twist now to the ongoing legal battle over the 30,000 crore rupee estate of Sanjay Kapoor. WhatsApp chats and internal documents submitted to the Delhi High Court by Karishma Kapoor's children have unveiled explosive revelations. Among them is the startling suggestion that Sanjay Kapoor was allegedly arranging Portuguese citizenship for Karishma and her two children, a move that would require them to renounce Indian citizenship. The details embedded in private communications have sparked fresh speculation. Were Karishma and Sanjay considering a reconciliation before his demise? That's a big sensational revelation now coming to the forefront because of the WhatsApp chats that have been revealed in the public domain. Remember this on a day when Karishma Kapoor's two children, Samaira and Kian, have approached the Delhi High Court, this accusing their stepmother Priya Sachdev of in fact forging the will of their deceased father Sanjay Kapoor. And this is, remember, over an entire property worth 30,000 crore rupees. And in her defense, Priya Sachdev has maintained that there's already a trust that has been set up to take care of the two children.
Citizenship for both Karishma and their children. Would you like to comment on that? And secondly, on the 18th, when the body was being brought back to India, there was a a motion moved for a board of directors meeting of Aureus Investments for inducting Ms. Priya Kapoor Sachdev on the board of directors. How do you respond to that?
It won't be appropriate for me to respond, so I will not be commenting on their personal relationship or what's been disclosed in the plaint or whether they were getting back together, not getting back together. That's not something that I can comment upon at all. So no comments, please.
So this was Mr. Vaibhav Gagar, who was speaking to us after, in fact, the Delhi High Court today issued summons in the suit that's been filed by Karishma Kapoor's children with regards to the family feud that has erupted in the Kapoor family after the mysterious death of business tycoon Mr. Sanjay Kapoor, a 30,000 crore worth of empire.
All right, let me quickly go across to Ananya Bhatnagar, who's been reporting on that story with us. Ananya, even though the lawyers have not really revealed much, if you could share with us what has in fact emerged out of these screenshots of the WhatsApp chat.
But you know, if you go by these screenshots, it clearly shows how Sanjay Kapoor was actually seeking, in fact, a family reunification in Portugal. And in fact, it's clear from the application that he had filed for his children from Ms. Karishma Kapoor, seeking a Portuguese citizenship. In fact, if we go by the WhatsApp chat of this family group called the Family K, it only has members which are Karishma Kapoor, Sanjay Kapoor, and in fact the two children from Karishma Kapoor. No Priya Sachdev Kapoor, no children from Priya Sachdev Kapoor or anybody else was there on that particular WhatsApp group. And if we can see that how he was pushing, in fact, Karishma Kapoor as well as to push for a Portuguese citizenship, giving her a highlight as to if at all she takes a Portuguese citizenship, then she has to lose her Indian citizenship itself. So which basically hints out that, whether there were ties that were being mended as far as, Sanjay Kapoor and Karishma Kapoor are concerned. And a second similar thing that emerges out from the annexures of this particular suit is that when Sanjay's body was being brought back to India, in fact, from the United Kingdom after his unfortunate death on the 12th of June. On the 18th of June, a motion was actually moved for a board of directors meeting of, AIS or the investments company wherein, in fact, Sanjay Kapoor was the director along with Dinesh Agarwal. These two people were the board, and this new board meeting was being called after Sanjay's death, even before his cremation took place, in order to induct Ms. Priya Sachdev Kapoor on the board of directors of Arius Investments Limited. And that is something, that raises different angles as far as this 30,000 crores worth of family feud is concerned. As far as the arguments that took place before the court is concerned, it was highlighted by Mr. Mahesh Jethmalani, who was appearing for the two children, that the will that has been executed, the will of their father, which has been executed here, is something that seems to be forged. It was read in a haste in that particular meeting at the Taj Hotel, and there seems to be suspicious circumstances because there was no talk of the will until that particular meeting at the Taj Hotel took place. The executor of the will and Priya Sachdev Kapoor have taken a defense that this will was something that came up to them through Mr. Dinesh Agarwal, who's said to be, in fact, one of the directors of Arius Investments Limited, and also is somebody who is a witness to this particular will itself.
So it's interesting, Ananya, that you highlight that this is, on one side you have Priya's version. On the other hand, you've also in fact spoken to Sanjay Kapoor's sister. What is it that you're learning with regards to the other side of the family, whether it is Sanjay Kapoor's sister or the mother, remember, who were at the forefront of those allegations that surfaced with regards to Priya Sachdev, in fact, forging the family will?
We had spoken to, in fact, Ms. Mandira Kapoor Smith a few weeks ago, when this whole family feud had actually broken out, and she, as far as Karishma Kapoor is concerned, had stated that they are having good terms with Karishma Kapoor. She's somebody who's held the family together, the two grandchildren of Ms. Rani Kapoor, which is Samaira and the other one from Karishma Kapoor, who have now filed this plaint before the Delhi High Court. All of them speak in one line that, this is a will that is forged in nature, and it is by Priya Sachdev Kapoor and people associated with Priya Sachdev Kapoor in order to take control of the Sonacom star and the 30,000 crore worth of empire that Mr. Sanjay Kapoor had carried forward from his father, Mr. Surinder Kapoor. Not only carried forward, but had also expanded the legacy of his father, Mr. Surinder Kapoor. Akanksha.
All right. Welcome back. Reliance has launched a multi-pronged relief effort in flood-hit Punjab with a 10-point plan of care and support. The Executive Director of Reliance Industries, Mr. Anant Ambani, said that we are committed to walk alongside Punjab through this difficult time. He also added that his entire Reliance family, including Reliance Foundation, Vantara Reliance Retail and Jio, are delivering immediate on-ground response. He further stated that a 10-point humanitarian support is reaching over 10,000 families in the hardest hit villages in the state. The strategic relief efforts include nutrition, water, emergency shelters, livestock care and rescue of displaced wild animals as well. All right, with that, we're slipping into a quick break. Stay tuned to Nation at 5 as we return with the latest news and updates.
Brought to you by This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
There's a stunning twist now to the ongoing legal battle over the 30,000 crore rupee estate of Sanjay Kapoor. WhatsApp chats and internal documents submitted to the Delhi High Court by Karishma Kapoor's children have unveiled explosive revelations. Among them is the startling suggestion that Sanjay Kapoor was allegedly arranging Portuguese citizenship for Karishma and her two children, a move that would require them to renounce Indian citizenship. The details embedded in private communications have sparked fresh speculation. Were Karishma and Sanjay considering a reconciliation before his demise? That's a big sensational revelation now coming to the forefront because of the WhatsApp chats that have been revealed in the public domain. Remember this on a day when Karishma Kapoor's two children, Samaira and Kian, have approached the Delhi High Court, this accusing their stepmother Priya Sachdev of in fact forging the will of their deceased father Sanjay Kapoor. And this is, remember, over an entire property worth 30,000 crore rupees. And in her defense, Priya Sachdev has maintained that there's already a trust that has been set up to take care of the two children.
Citizenship for both Karishma and their children. Would you like to comment on that? And secondly, on the 18th, when the body was being brought back to India, there was a motion moved for a board of directors meeting of Aureus Investments for inducting Ms. Priya Kapoor Sachdev on the board of directors. How do you respond to that?
It won't be appropriate for me to respond, so I will not be commenting on their personal relationship or what's been disclosed in the plaint or whether they were getting back together, not getting back together. That's not something that I can comment upon at all. So no comments, please.
So this was Mr. Vaibhav Gagar who was speaking to us after, in fact, the Delhi High Court today issued summons in the suit that's been filed by Karishma Kapoor's children with regards to the family feud that has erupted in the Kapoor family after the mysterious death of business tycoon Mr. Sanjay Kapoor, a 30,000 crore worth of empire.
All right, let me quickly go across to Ananya Bhatnagar, who's been reporting on that story with us. Ananya, even though the lawyers have not really revealed much, if you could share with us what has in fact emerged out of these screenshots of the WhatsApp chat.
But you know, if you go by these screenshots, it clearly shows how Sanjay Kapoor was actually seeking, in fact, a family reunification in Portugal. And in fact, it's clear from the application that he had filed for his children from Ms. Karishma Kapoor, seeking a Portuguese citizenship. In fact, if we go by the WhatsApp chat of this family group called the Family K, it only has members which are Karishma Kapoor, Sanjay Kapoor, and in fact the two children from Karishma Kapoor. No Priya Sachdev Kapoor, no children from Priya Sachdev Kapoor or anybody else was there on that particular WhatsApp group. And we can see that how he was pushing, in fact, Karishma Kapoor as well as to push for a Portuguese citizenship, giving her a highlight as to if at all she takes a Portuguese citizenship, then she has to lose her Indian citizenship itself. So which basically hints out that, whether there were ties that were being mended as far as, Sanjay Kapoor and Karishma Kapoor are concerned. And a second similar thing that emerges out from the annexures of this particular suit is that when Sanjay's body was being brought back to India from the United Kingdom after his unfortunate death on the 12th of June. On the 18th of June, a motion was actually moved for a board of directors meeting of, AIS or the investments company wherein, in fact, Sanjay Kapoor was the director along with Dinesh Agarwal. These two people were on the board, and this new board meeting was being called after Sanjay's death, even before his cremation took place, in order to induct Ms. Priya Sachdev Kapoor on the board of directors of Arius Investments Limited. And that is something, that raises different angles as far as this 30,000 crores worth of family feud is concerned. As far as the arguments that took place before the court is concerned, it was highlighted by Mr. Mahesh Jethmalani, who was appearing for the two children, that the will that has been executed, the will of their father, which has been executed here, is something that seems to be forged. It was read in a haste in that particular meeting at the Taj Hotel, and there seems to be suspicious circumstances because there was no talk of the will until that particular meeting at the Taj Hotel took place. The executor of the will and Priya Sachdev Kapoor have taken a defense that this will was something that came up to them through Mr. Dinesh Agarwal, who's said to be, in fact, one of the directors of Arius Investments Limited, and also is somebody who is a witness to this particular will itself.
So it's interesting, Ananya, that you highlight that this is, on one side you have Priya's version. On the other hand, you've also in fact spoken to Sanjay Kapoor's sister. What is it that you're learning with regards to the other side of the family, whether it is Sanjay Kapoor's sister or the mother, remember, who were at the forefront of those allegations that surfaced with regards to Priya Sachdev, in fact, forging the family will?
We had spoken to, in fact, Ms. Mandira Kapoor Smith a few weeks ago when this whole family feud had actually broken out. And she, as far as Karishma Kapoor is concerned, had stated that they are having good terms with Karishma Kapoor. She's somebody who's held the family together, the two grandchildren of Ms. Rani Kapoor, which is Samaira and the other one from Karishma Kapoor, who have now filed this plaint before the Delhi High Court. All of them speak in one line that, this is a will that is forged in nature. And it is by Priya Sachdev Kapoor and people associated with Priya Sachdev Kapoor in order to take control of the Sonacom star and the 30,000 crore worth of empire that Mr. Sanjay Kapoor had carried forward from his father, Mr. Surinder Kapoor. Not only carried forward, but had also expanded the legacy of his father, Mr. Surinder Kapoor. Akanksha.
All right, Ananya, stay with me. We, in fact, have managed to access, with your help, that document which has been submitted by the children of Karishma and Sanjay Kapoor. This is what Samaira and Kian, in fact, have presented in terms of their viewpoint. Most important is the aspect with regards to how they were seeking a Portuguese citizenship. To take you through that particular point, in fact, it clearly goes on to say that there's representation with the Portuguese Agency for Integration, Migration and Asylum, or rather AIMA, for the purpose of family reunification and renewal requested by his father Sanjay Kapoor with his... Welcome back. Apple has unveiled its latest iPhone models on Tuesday, hoping to capture consumer attention despite a challenging economic landscape. With the ongoing US-China trade wars threatening the tech giant's bottom line, Apple has expected a $1.1 billion hit from tariffs this quarter. As consumers become more cautious about big-ticket purchases, experts are noting that Apple must balance innovation with price sensitivity to remain competitive. The tech giant is under pressure to continue pushing boundaries, particularly as it navigates a market where both economic uncertainty and tariff costs are squeezing profits. The iPhone 17 is seen as a critical move in maintaining Apple's position at the top of the smartphone market.
Apple taking a broad approach to this product announcement with a sleek, thin iPhone Air with a starting price tag of $999 and the iPhone 17 with more colors and camera features starting at $799, the same as the iPhone 16. Apple's announcement giving a sense of how they view U.S. trade policy and also the mindset of the American consumer right now. Apple on Tuesday announcing the latest iPhone, among other gadgets, and trying to get consumers hyped in uncertain economic times.
iPhone Air is a total game changer.
Apple's latest gadgets land as President Donald Trump's trade wars squeeze the company's bottom line. The tech giant expects to take a $1.1 billion tariff-related hit just this quarter, and as consumers eye big-ticket purchases more carefully.
It has to be worth it for someone to say, okay, let me trade in my device and get a phone that costs more than $1,000.
CNET senior technology reporter Abrar Al-Hiti says Apple's recent offerings and sales have had ups and downs.
This does feel like a really critical time for Apple to stand out, whether it's, making its devices more powerful or rolling out something like a thinner iPhone. This is the time for it to say we are still an innovative company. We are still on top of our game.
In the tariff environment, Courtney Linwall of Consumer Reports says their price tracking analysts have noticed tech companies overall taking a more conservative approach to new products.
Companies are not putting out as many new models, and those models maybe aren't taking as many leaps forward with new features, innovation. So it just seems like in general, there's a bit more perhaps conservatism and like companies are waiting to see.
As consumers, Linwall says, reason with the value of an upgrade.
Making folks feel like there's something worth it to go out and buy, something exciting to go out and buy. So I'm sure Apple is feeling that pressure.
Apple hoping features like its thinnest model ever, new colors, new camera features, faster charging, and a larger screen on the iPhone 17 get consumers excited, especially as they hold on to their smartphones for longer. Morgan Stanley estimates the iPhone replacement cycle is now about 4.7 years.
All right, shifting focus over to the world of entertainment, another day and another remix. We are talking about the Bijuria song remix from Varun Dhawan and Janhvi Kapoor's upcoming comedy Sunny Sanskari Ki Tulsi Kumari. While some listeners have loved it, others have wondered if we really need another remix. Watch this video to know why it's so difficult for remixes to live up to their chart.
Another day, another remix. We are talking about Bijuria from Varun Dhawan and Janhvi Kapoor's upcoming comedy Sunny Sanskari Ki Tulsi Kumari. A remix of Sonu Nigam's Chartbuster from 1999, it has been trending on YouTube ever since it was dropped a week ago. And to quote Karan Johar from Simba's Aankh Mare song, oh God, one more remix. Because Bijuria now joins the already expanding list of songs Bollywood has rehashed in the recent past. Right from Masakali 2.0 and Das Bahane 2.0 to Tu Cheez Badi Hai Mast Mast and Ek Do Teen. While all these remixes have now become music club staples, the bigger question remains. Can these remakes outshine the originals? The answer might not be as simple as you would expect it to be. एक ज़माना था जब बॉलीवुड में remixes का golden era चल रहा था. From Kaanta Laga to Bin Tere Sanam, Bollywood was belting out some rather innovative remixes that brought their own flavor to the song's melody. However, in recent times, Bollywood has stopped picking up songs from the 70s and the 80s. Instead, it has turned its gaze towards songs that might just be 10 to 15 years old. Originals that are still very fresh in public's memory. Take Das Bahane 2.0 for example, that was panned by audiences, and Masakali 2.0 that was openly criticized by the OG song's composer A.R. Rahman himself.
All right, let's end on a note of cricket as India returns to action in Dubai with a new squad as Surya Kumar Yadav leads the post. And Kohli, Rohit and Jadeja era. The Asia Cup opener against UAE is more than a mismatch. It's the unveiling of Indian cricket's future. I leave you with this report. Thank you so much for watching Nation at 5.
It's Dubai, it is hot and it is the Asia Cup, and today India finally returned to international cricket facing the UAE in their opening game. But make no mistake, this is not just another start to another tournament. This is the beginning of India's post-Kohli, post-Rohit, post-Jadeja era. Three giants of white ball cricket signed off together after lifting the T20 World Cup last year, leaving behind a legacy that defined more than a decade. Now it is the new generation's turn. Leading the pack is Suryakumar Yadav, India's new captain and the face of their fearless batting philosophy. His vice-captain Shubman Gill back in T20s after more than a year and back with serious form. 650 IPL runs at a strike rate of 155. He will open alongside Abhishek Sharma, the left-hander who smashed that jaw-dropping 135 of 54 balls against England. If there is a player who can light up this campaign from the very start, it is him. Behind them, Tilak Varma, 9 matches, an average of 82, brings calm to the chaos. Sanju Samson is fighting for his spot in the 11, Jitesh Sharma waits in the wings, and Hardik Pandya adds his trademark all-round punch. Add Shivam Dube's finishing power, and this batting order looks young, fresh, and unapologetically attacking. With the ball, Jasprit Bumrah remains the heartbeat. His new ball partner Arshdeep Singh adds swing and bite, while the spin duo of Kuldeep Yadav and Varun Chakravarti offer very different kind of trouble. One risky, one mysterious, both lethal. Across the line stand the UAE. Underdogs but no pushovers. They booked their Asia Cup ticket by winning the ACC Premier Cup and have been playing hard cricket in the build-up. Captain Mohammad Wasim will go hard in the power play. Alishan Sarafu brings stability, and Asif Khan is known for finishing with a punch. But history is harsh. The last and the only T20I between these two sides, India held UAE to an 81 for 9 and chased it inside 11 overs. And the form guide doesn't flatter either. India are world champions, 24 wins in their last 27 T20Is. UAE are searching for their first win in 6 games. Conditions in Dubai, dry, hot and energy sapping. The pitch here usually balances things out but slightly tilts towards chasing. 58 of 110 T20Is won by the batting second. The build-up to India versus Pakistan in the Asia Cup is always charged. But this year, the conversation isn't just about cricket. With tensions off the field in the background, the big question to both the captains was simple. Will the players be asked to tone down aggression?
Sir, aggression is always there on the field when we take the field, and without aggression, I don't think you can play this sport. And I'm sure I'm very excited to take the field from tomorrow.
India's captain making it clear the new look squad won't be holding back, not even against Pakistan on September 14 in Dubai. And on the other side, Pakistan skipper Salman Agha is echoing the same tune.
You don't need to say anything to any player, because everyone is individually very different. If someone wants to be aggressive in the field, they're more than welcome to do that. So when it's come to fast bowlers, they are always aggressive, and you can't just stop them, because that's what keep them going. So whoever wants to do be aggressive in the field, they are more than welcome. So yeah, from my side, there is no instruction to anyone as long as it stays in the ground.
So no restrictions, no holding back. Expect fire, expect energy. But both sides say it will stay within the boundary lines. There is also a new flavor to this rivalry. For the first time in years, India and Pakistan will meet without their most famous names. Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli have bowed out, while Pakistan, at least for now, have moved away from Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan. It's the dawn of a different chapter. Pakistan arrived battle-hardened after 3 straight months of T20 cricket. India, meanwhile, will be taking the field for the first time in this format since the England series back in January.
CNN News 18 Primetime Studio, presented by Schneider Electric Smart Home Solutions.
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. We're joining you live from the CNN News 18 Primetime Studio, presented by Schneider Electric Smart Home Solutions. US President Donald Trump might be undergoing a change of heart. At least the recent change of tone signals the same. What seems like Trump being on digital warpath against India, marked by occasional snarky social media comments and remarks at press conferences, to anti-India comments by his aides, is perhaps witnessing a tactical reset. The question on everyone's mind is this going to last? And what triggered this? Was it the fact that India refused to budge from its national interests despite intense scrutiny? Or the fact that BRICS nations have responded with unity on the issue of tariffs? While Trump's friendly remarks may or may not translate into a new chapter in the India-US bilateral ties, leaders of both countries have now signaled an attempt at the very highest level of moving forward from a period of acrimony, at least to further trade deal negotiations. For this to sustain, we do need a reset of the narrative on the Russia-Ukraine war from America and seizing of the singling out of India. Could that be on the cards too? That and more coming up with our guests in just a bit. Our top story today on Plain Speak, US-India trade talks and how both leaders have talked about taking forward these negotiations, and there could be a call soon between the two as well. On the show too, later, Mandya counter protest. Hindu groups stage a show of strength in Mandya, which was hit by Ganesh Chaturthi immersion stone pelting violence. Also on the show, we'll get you more of exactly what could have triggered the unrest in Nepal. Was a hit and run kind of situation, an accident, a possible trigger for why the Nepal unrest went completely out of hand. First up, let me break down for you what US President Donald Trump has said on social media platform Truth Social to announce that India and US will continue negotiations to address the trade barriers between the two countries. He further added that he looks forward to speaking with his very good friend, Prime Minister Mody, in the upcoming weeks, and that he feels certain that there will be no difficulty in coming to a successful conclusion for both countries. This, of course, seems like a very different kind of tone that has been employed by him comparing to recent remarks. And this is a second such statement that has now come to light. Returning the sentiment, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi replied, India and US are close friends and natural partners. I am confident that our trade negotiations will